I'm Sam Andrew. I play with Big Brother and the Holding Company. We still play. And I played with Cosmic Blues Band with Janis, Joplins, whom I loved a lot. And I played in Moby Grape for about 5 minutes sometime in the 90s. And I'm here at what was the Trident Restaurant, an incredible place where I came with Janis and members of Big Brother and members of Cosmic Blues Band and members of Moby Grape many times. Thank you. That's my wife Elise. And then we moved out to beautiful Marin County, where I'm sitting right now. We drove out in the car, and I was sitting next to James Gurley, and we saw these young girls riding bareback on horses. And Marin was very provincial and rural at that time. You felt like, oh, this is the country. You know, it was a summer resort from before the Golden Gate Bridge existed. The Golden Gate Bridge was built around 1937. So before that, Marin was like the summer place. So a lot of the houses had that feeling of a temporary feeling of, you know, these beautiful summer residences. So, you know, Janis Joplin had a house in Baltimore Canyon in Larkspur, California. And this was after she left Big Brother. And we did a little bit of Cosmic Blues there, and then it was morphing into the Full Tilt Boogie Band. And she had this Porsche that was very beautiful. It was painted by Dave Richards, who was such a good friend of mine, a really talented artist. He has a whole story himself. He comes from Hollywood royalty, and you know, his parents were screenwriters and big deal in Hollywood. And David was really talented. He was a great painter and a great human being. And he painted this Porsche, and he painted a guitar that I had, and he painted a motorcycle helmet that I had, and a guitar that James had. Just did a lot of that kind of thing. So Janis had this Porsche at her home, and after she had left Big Brother, I would come see her there in Larkspur. And one day I came in, there was this really nice guy there, really great guy. Right away you could tell he's not like a rock and roll person. He's very calm and, you know, courteous. And I later found out he was the son of a general, which made a lot of sense to me. My father was an officer in the Air Force. So he had those virtues like showing up on time and, you know, being kind and courteous to people. And he was a Rhodes Scholar, and it was Chris Christopherson. And he was like such a great guy, you know, and he was writing songs with Janis and hanging out. We'd sing country songs like Silver Threads and Golden Needles. We'd sing these tunes all night. Sometimes Bobby Newworth would come around. And then we'd go riding in Janis's Porsche, and we'd ride through San Rafael, and it was like a royal progress. I mean, she'd be going, hi everybody, and they'd be waving on the corner and that. And those were such beautiful times, you know. It was right towards the end of Janis's life. And it was a great time with her. I'm glad I had that little sort of interlude there at the end. And she came here a lot, just about at that same time. And the Trident was happening at that time. The place where we're sitting, it was unbelievable. David Crosby used to sail this wooden yacht up to the back, and he'd tie the boat up, which we might see a ferry do at some point today, and just come in. And Frank Werber owned this place, and he managed the Kingston Trio. So there was that thing that was happening in the early 60s. That's way before, you know, the rock and roll thing happened. And it was a scene then. It was a lot of jazz musicians were here. Lee Konitz was here, and, you know, Vince Guaraldi, and there was that whole beat jazz thing was happening here. Sausalito was, at that time, it was kind of a joke. When we were in college, we would, it was like the Castro and like Polk Street. It was like a gay thing. Someone said, oh, you're going to Sausalito, you know, that people forget about that. In the early 60s, you know, there were a lot of Angora sweaters here, you know, people who were really nice and pleasant, and so it was a way happening scene. The Trident was happening very early on, and you know, people started taking LSD here, and I had a friend who put drops of LSD on Nico candy wafers. You remember those? I don't know if they even make them anymore, but and then they would pass them out. They passed them out to all the help one day, you know. So there are all these people who are on LSD are serving food to people, and they're, you know, pouring a cup of coffee, and she's going, I love the way that liquid looks going in there, and the coffee spilling all over the head. So it was a jumping scene, and then Janis started holding court here at the other end of the decade, and you know, around 1968, 69, and she would sit here and just have, you know, hold court all night, you know, and have a great time. And she'd come here with Seth Morgan, who she was engaged to, and she loved him because he could pay for everyone too. You know, she didn't have to pick up the check all the time. And Woody Allen came here. Did you see? Was it Annie Hall? And they were Play It Again, Sam. And they were right out there. You know, they were out on the porch, and he was out there with a lot of people, and there was a whole scene. He came here a lot. Everybody came here. It was a big deal. And so I want to tell you what's going on in what we laughingly call my career right now. Well, my wife Elisa and I just came back from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it was so much fun. It was incredible. It was a 24-hour party. Big Brother and the holding company played there. The entire city was throbbing for 24 hours, as can only happen in Brazil. Think about Black Orpheus. It was that kind of scene. You go into a grocery store and someone would be doing the samba in the milk aisle, you know, because the throb was the rhythm it was really a very exciting experience. So we're doing things like that right now, Big Brother and the holding company. We're going to go to Atlantic City soon and play, and so that's on the Jersey coast. It's a lot of fun. Cape May all the way to Asbury Park. You know, just it's a wonderful scene there. And then we're going in October. We're going to go to Italy. So I'm trying to polish my Italian, and we have a great time. We're old men now. You know, we love going around the world. It's great. So I want to give a shout out to some other old friends of mine, Artista. I love you guys. Let me see if this fits. Does it fit? No, not good.
You gotta loosen it up in the back.
I love you, you know.